What's up, guys? This is Settle the Score from 98.1 WQAQ, bringing you the best news in sports. I'm Hayden Nadler. This is my co-host Justin, and once again, we're going to bring on special guest Mark Persky, who's an alum of Quinnipiac. So, one of the first things we're going to get into this week is that this was a big week for Quinnipiac men's basketball. Recently, Kevin Marfo just went to Texas A&M. He was the leading rebounder in the country, and Rich Kelly announced today that he was going to Boston College. So we want to talk about this a little bit. So I'm going to start the floor with Justin, just talk about these moves and what they mean for the Quinnipiac men's basketball program moving forward.
I think Marfo is a huge loss, given that he was our leading rebounder, and he was always a constant who was in the paint, a rim protector. He could provide offensively too. And obviously, Rich Kelly's a big loss. He really took that next step as the leader once Cam Young left, and I think he could provide like 3-point shooting for a bigger school like Boston College, who he's going to.
So what do you think this means for the program moving forward, and how do you think that's going to impact recruiting and the culture that Baker Dunleavy is trying to create at Quinnipiac?
I mean, I was pretty surprised that they're not staying for another year because I think their coach, like, they have a nice foundation with Baker. So I was kind of surprised that they left. But I think they still have some younger guys that could pick up what they left.
I like what Coach Dunleavy is doing at Quinnipiac. The last 2 years, they've won 15 or more games both seasons. In the year before this year, they went 16-13 with a berth in the CBI. So we're definitely moving in the right direction. But one of the things I think is a little bit concerning is that Quinnipiac is having a hard time retaining its top talent. They go to bigger schools, we're kind of like a feeder school for other programs. So I think that's kind of something that we really have to stress is that when you go to Quinnipiac, you want to be there for the long term. We have guys throughout our program. Peter Kiss went to Rutgers. Mikey Dixon went to St. John's. Kevin Marfo went to A&M. And now Rich Kelly went to BC. So these are all Power 5 schools in big conferences. So one of the things I think this could be saying about Quinnipiac maybe is that we're going to be able to be getting great players, but not going to be able to keep them. That's one of the things I think that really needs to be discussed, and how exactly we're going to keep and retain our top talent.
Yeah, I would say that's concerning for a program if they only stay for a year or two. Kind of speaks volume to – I mean, I think we have a nice foundation, but, like, at the same time, if they're leaving after a year or two, it raises eyebrows.
So I'm going to bring up a point that actually the Mac and Main show kind of brought up in their show that I think I'm going to disagree with a little bit on here. Mac and Main basically said the fan engagement with the sports programs at Quinnipiac is a little bit low, from the men's basketball team to a women's basketball team, despite the success they're having. And I didn't think they necessarily gave the reason for it, but I'm going to be honest with you. Here's why I think the engagement's a little bit low at Quinnipiac. It's not because of the talent. It's not because the players have it. It's not because of the culture or the coaching. One of the things I think they kind of didn't interpret in their argument was that we're in the MAC. We're playing schools that are very regionalized, such as Canisius, Niagara, St. Peter's, Monmouth, Iona, and Manhattan and Siena. These are schools that are very regionalized. They're not necessarily national institutions that are known for their research and known for their huge alumni bases, which is something I think they didn't really consider in their argument. When you have a conference, for example, I'm going to give you a conference like the Patriot League. They have Navy, they have Army, Bucknell, Lafayette, American, Boston U, and Colgate. These are renowned, known national research institutions with academics that are really superb and that have huge alumni and fan bases. Not fan bases per se for the basketball team, but they have huge alumni bases so that when you play a team like that, you've heard of this school. How many, honestly, I'm being honest here. I'm not saying anything bad against these schools or whatever, but how many people are honestly going to go to a Tuesday night game versus Canisius or Niagara, who a lot of people have never even heard of those schools because they're not nationally ranked universities? That's what I think is the big problem. We're not in a conference that is academically sound enough where we could put schools versus us that people know who are playing. That's what I think is the biggest problem. Because if you look at Quinnipiac and you look around the campus, people are very excited about the sports at our school. That's why we have over 10 radio shows in WQAQ.
I would say they're passionate about our team. So yeah, it definitely is the competition that we play, like the teams we play.
I mean, honestly, on a Tuesday night, and you're telling me on a 7:00 game on Tuesday night, it's nothing against Quinnipiac. I love supporting my school, but if you're telling me they're going to go and show up for a game versus Niagara, who not a lot of people have ever heard of, I think it's something to be said for that. I think personally, for me, I think they're kind of in the wrong conference. That's just my opinion on it. But that being said, I don't think it's about the passion or the fan base doesn't care about the school. I really don't think that's true, because when they play,
I think it's also the fact that who's going to a Tuesday night game, right? I mean, students have classes. alumni, they're not going to make it to Hamden, Connecticut on a random Tuesday night in the middle of winter or the middle of fall. I mean, that's not feasible. It's not possible. And, I mean, listen, our sport is hockey, right? Like that is going to be that way for a long time. The school invests a lot of money into the program. Not that they don't for basketball and all the other sports, but you could tell the hockey team, has a better track record over their time at Quinnipiac than most other sports. Although the other sports may have been around longer, the hockey team has had significant, a significant track record and a significant following. So, I mean, if you think about it that way, I mean, the students are going to gravitate towards the more successful team, right? I mean, realistically, unless you're a passionate basketball fan, I mean, that's just the way I think the students are going to think, like if the hockey team's winning, the rink is packed pretty much every game and the student section is pretty crowded. You remember, Hayden, in 2016 when
yeah, I hear you. No, when they were good, everyone was there. No, I definitely agree with you on that.
So I think winning, brings a lot of different factors into it. And that's probably why
just from like a marketing perspective, though, with the hockey team, you see why people go to those games, though. You're playing Harvard, you're playing Cornell, you're playing Dartmouth, you're playing Princeton. These are like renowned institutions where they have huge alumni bases. So people are going to come to those games because they're playing teams that are more nationally known. That's why you're getting more attendance also. That I think people don't necessarily really think about that. Why is the hockey team have so much better attendance than basketball team? Because basketball team is in a very regionalized conference. That's why I think is kind of the problem that Quinnipiac has, is that it's not the facilities, it's not the passion, and it's certainly not the culture. Because I do think Baker Dunleavy is doing a terrific job there.
Right.
I do. Like they've been very successful. They've won 15 or more games, and I think we do okay. Like when I was there, I think we had enough people in the stands where like it was getting loud and the crowd was passionate for the people we had.
Right. I mean, it's there, but they need a breakthrough. Once they get that breakthrough, people will start to show up.
Exactly. No, I agree with you on that. And if you want to get the breakthrough, you have to make it you have to make it like a regional powerhouse like that. Why do you Gonzaga? Gonzaga was never a huge institution before Mark Few came in, but they sustained success all the time because they were able to recruit and cater to a certain niche.
Right.
So if Quinnipiac wants to get people in the crowd every week, they got to start winning conference championships season after season after season.
And they're trying to get there. They're doing the right things. They're moving the right pieces around. But
I agree with you 100%. I mean, they hired Baker Dunleavy. He's making over, I don't want to say this out here, but like he's making a lot of money to like really bring this program to the next level. I think it's certainly not for the level of effort the school is putting in. I don't think you could say that.
No, it's not. But I think the difference between the hockey team and the basketball team is that the hockey team has had about 3 or 4 breakthroughs.
Yeah, I think Quinnipiac needs that one breakthrough because if they're playing for like a conference championship, I'm telling you that arena is going to be packed.
Right. Yep.
No question.
Yeah.
The fans at Quinnipiac are passionate. That's what I think people don't realize.
Yeah, I think the students will turn out if they can get there. When they get there.
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
That'll happen eventually. It's just the hockey team has had more of those, so people genuinely would rather go to the hockey game as opposed to the basketball game.
Yeah, I think Mark's right. I don't think you're wrong, Hayden. Like, you're definitely right about the teams they play, but like when you think of Quinnipiac sports, you mainly think of directly hockey, given their success and what they're made of and what they've been made of over the last like 5 years.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with you on that we're mainly a hockey school. But that being said, I do think the school is putting in resources to the basketball team that in terms of the rink they have, the arena they have, it's a beautiful arena in New England. No one can argue that. It's beautiful. And like, I do think they're trying to make it, they have like free shirt Fridays for the basketball games. They have like free towel giveaways. So I think they're trying. I don't think it's not that they're trying.
No,
I agree.
They're trying.
And, I think to say that the fan base isn't passionate, I think is a little bit, not that I could see sort of where they're coming from a little bit, because maybe the arena could be a little bit more sold out. But that being said, like, you also have to consider the demographic of who you're catering to. Like, you're not at a school like Ohio State or Michigan where that's this prime selling factor. Okay, you're not. But that being said, the people who root for the games are very passionate too. And there's a reason why on WQAQ, why we have 10 radio shows and all these people we have on Quinnipiac Bobcats Sports Network, why there's a lot of people who really love the sports here. So the idea that the fan base isn't passionate enough, is something I think I disagree with on them a little bit on that certain point.
It comes down to it. I think at the end of the day, winning and listen, the basketball team is a winner. There's no question. All the
Oh
teams.
yeah, same with the women's team too. The women's team went to the
The
Sweet.
women's team is a lot better than the men's team.
Yeah, the women's team went to the Sweet 16, but the men's basketball team is definitely making great strides in the program. And I think athletically, the school is making great strides to make sure that their athletics are at the point where they want them to be.
Right. And, listen, we're a D1 school, but at the end of the day, Justin's right. When you think of Quinnipiac, you think hockey. I mean,
it's all a dollar game. It's all a dollar game. They put all their investments into the hockey team, which is rightfully so. If you have one sport that you're great at, you're going to put a lot of your money into it. But that being said, I do think that if they get a good basketball team, the money they're going to generate from that between recruiting new students is going to be off the charts. If they win the MAC, it's going to be crazy.
It'll definitely go up if they
right. Yeah, the funding will get a kickstart, and if they win a Frozen Four too. I mean,
oh yeah, 100%.
They've come close so many times that I think that if they finally break through and get that one last win, that you'll see a jump start in funding for that too. Like you'll see more money pumping into the hockey team because they won and they're the defending champs. And not that they haven't gotten that probably before, but I mean, if you think about it that way.
But yeah, so that's our conversation about the Quinnipiac men's basketball team and some of the moves that are going on. So we're going to pivot from the Quinnipiac men's basketball team. Now we're going to move into, here's a hypothetical question I'm going to ask that I'm very passionate about. Who is more of the culprit for the New England Patriots dynasty, Tom Brady or Bill Belichick? Say your answer and explain why.
That's a really tough one. You're putting me on the spot there.
I'm putting you on the spot, dude.
What'd you say?
Who was more of the culprit for the dynasty, Brady or Belichick?
I would say Belichick, just because he built the team around Brady, and he always had like the defense. I know they didn't have pieces some year, but they always built the team around Brady, with Brady taking pay cuts and everything. I just think he put them in position to win ultimately.
I'm in agreement with Justin. I think it's got to be Belichick. It's a very hard question, and both answers are correct, because if you think about it one way, Brady was the one that ultimately won them the Super Bowls, right? Belichick wasn't out there taking the snaps. It was Brady. But, I mean, at the end of the day, Belichick was the one drawing up the plays. He was the mastermind behind it all. It's got to be Belichick, I think, in this case.
I could not disagree with you on this one more. I'm sorry, I could not. If you look at any great dynasty in the NFL, not Tom Brady. Chuck Noll had Terry Bradshaw, okay? Mike Shanahan had John Elway. When Marv Levy, when they went to 4 straight Super Bowls with Buffalo Bills, they had Jim Kelly, okay? Any great dynasty in the history of the league has had a great quarterback. Look at Belichick when he was with Cleveland. Did they win anything? No. Pete Carroll, before he had Russell Wilson, did he win anything in New England? No. Okay, all of the great coaches throughout the history of the NFL have had a great quarterback. And I could come up with numerous other examples just to talk about this for a little bit. But I'm also going to give you another example. When the Steelers were winning all those championships as well with Bill Cowher and Mike Tomlin, they still had Big Ben, okay? Name me what Bill Cowher was before he had Ben Roethlisberger. Name me what Mike Tomlin was before he had these great quarterbacks. That's because they weren't anything, because they never had the quarterback. It's all about having the quarterback. It's not about – I disagree with that. It's all about having the coach. I disagree with that 100%. The coach is the one who does the system 100%. He installs the plays. He does the formations. He does the schemes. The coach is responsible for all the game planning and everything, which is – he's a huge part of it. I'm not saying the coach isn't a huge part of it. But when you look at all of these coaches, a thing that has to be spoke about is that they all had great quarterbacks. None of these coaches could ever win without the quarterback. Sorry, because they're not the one making the plays. They can make all the game plans. They can do everything. But as long as you don't have the guy who can execute the plays, that doesn't really necessarily mean you're going to win, and it's going to make championships. That's my perspective on it.
What about? I know you were saying all the different teams that have the quarterbacks and not the coaches, but look at the 2014 Seahawks when they were Russell Wilson. Like, he made timely plays, but they were built off their defense and the run, and they were able to win.
Yes, but then you took away – but then still, Russell Wilson's always had a sustained excellence possession. You take away Russell Wilson, what were the Seattle Seahawks like before Russell Wilson? Just name me my example. They had a great quarterback too. They had Matt Hasselbeck.
Alexander.
They had Matt Hasselbeck, Sean Alexander too. They still had a great quarterback. That's what I'm saying. You need a great quarterback to win in this league. Okay? The only example I can –
What about the Broncos?
Broncos are one of the only examples I can really give of a team that didn't have a great quarterback that won recently. When the Colts won with Tony Dungy, they still had Peyton Manning. Like, if you win a Super Bowl, about 95% of the time, you're going to have a great quarterback. Am I wrong on that?
I mean, most of the time, but there's also scenarios where, like, the Seahawks and the Broncos had elite defenses and they win in other ways besides.
Yes. No, I'm not disagreeing with you.
Hayden was deteriorating. He couldn't even, he literally couldn't get the ball out like he used to.
I'm not disagreeing with you, but in order to have a period of sustained success, you need a great quarterback. That's what I think. It's more important that you have the quarterback than it is the coach. But that's just me. What do you think on that, Mark?
It's a valid point. I don't know. It's hard to say, right? I mean, you don't really know. The one Super Bowl that may have been, Belichick and Brady too was in 2017, right? When they went up against the Falcons and they were down 28-3. And, I want to know, who was the leader, which one of them was the leader that really came through and stepped up to the plate and really, drove it home that, hey, we need to get we need to figure it out here and try and find a way to get back in this game. I want to know if that was Brady or that was Belichick or a combination of the two. I think there's no doubt that Brady, is going to be missed, and it's going to be very fascinating to see who they get at quarterback, because I don't think without Brady that they're going to be, I don't know. It's going to be fascinating because everybody's saying that the Patriots are still going to be the Patriots. They've got Belichick, this, that. But who's playing a quarterback for them? Like, I don't know.
I mean, they want Jarrett Stidham to be they want right now Jarrett Stidham to be a replacement.
I think they're convinced Stidham's the answer because I feel like they would have gone out and got a quarterback by now if they weren't convinced that Stidham's the short-term answer and the long-term answer.
I don't know. It's going to be interesting. Are they just going to, is the bubble going to deflate? Like, is it going to burst? Is it going to pop? Like, I don't know. We'll see. Like, it's going to be very telling, if Brady was missed or not. Because if they can make this quarterback look like Brady, then you're going to say, well, maybe it wasn't just Brady. Maybe it was Belichick. But
no, that's a fair point. I mean, 100%.
I think only time's going to tell with that team and where they go, because you can only make hypotheticals right now. Oh, Brady's going to be missed. It's all him. Tampa Bay is going to be, tearing it up when the Patriots are going to be ruining the day. They didn't sign him because they listened to their coach. But, I mean, only time will tell. So.
Yeah, I'm going to give you a couple other examples. Like Bill Walsh, when the 49ers had that dynasty, he had Montana, and then he had Steve Young. So, like, I'm not going to say – you can't really fault the thing I think I also need to realize in my argument is that you honestly can't fault the coach also for having the great quarterback. You can't.
No.
Can't. Also, at the same time, like, I think the quarterback makes the coach instead of the coach makes the quarterback.
Yeah, because like Mark said, when the chips are on the line, like Brady pulled through. It wasn't Belichick was drawing it up, but
like Belichick's not the one making the plays. That's what I'm saying. You have to be able
that's fair. But I think with what Belichick did and how he kept – the amazing thing is that he kept bringing in guys, and they pretty much became stars around Brady. Like, if you think about, like, over the years, like, who they had and who they brought in. And, now they're kind of all household names, and it's going to be interesting to see, what they're able to do with this new guy. Like, is Danny Amendola still going to be the same Danny Amendola? If Gronk was still there, would he still be the same Gronk now that Brady's gone? Like that would be a storyline. Like that would be interesting. Like I don't know if they're going to be the same players, that they were when Brady was there. Like it's going to be very telling,
No,
and you won't need a big sample size. You're only going to need 2-3 games.
No, I agree with you on that.
I think it's going to be really interesting once that gets here. Who are the Patriots going to be? Are they still going to be the same winners, or are they just going to flatten out like a pancake? I don't know. We'll see.
Because last year Brady had one of his down years to his standards, and they still went 12-4, and they still went the 13 in the AFC.
Yeah, they were the 13 in the AFC, and then they lost to Tennessee.
Yeah, no, but still, in one of Brady's down years, they still had an elite defense, and they still, if they could, like, it depends what quarterback they get, but they could still go like 10-6 if they just, because they still have a good defense.
Right. They could still get in with a wild card.
No, they could get it with that defense, 100%. I'm not throwing that out.
Yeah. I don't know. It'll be interesting. I think the division is gonna get a shakeup. I think maybe the definitely the Bills, but maybe the Jets. Maybe the Jets will be the sleeper. Maybe the Jets will come out and shock the world. But who knows? I think it'd be great if the Patriots didn't make it, because it would just create all these other storylines, right? It'd be so fascinating. Like, what would happen if we fast forward 1 year from now to on March 20, what is today? March 29th, right? And you're looking at it, the Patriots had a losing season for like the first time in God knows how many years, right? What has transpired? Is Belichick gone? Are they going to draft a quarterback next year? Are they trading away defensive players? Are they bringing in a new GM? Like, what's going on with the Patriots 1 year from now if it becomes a lost season for them?
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see, like, because all these years we're used to dynasty, it's like, and all of a sudden, like, it would be so different if they just like don't make the playoffs.
Right. Do they become, right? So obviously, we all didn't grow up with the Dallas Cowboys being a dynasty, and they haven't been dynasty in how many years? But do they become the Dallas Cowboys of today? Like, if things go off the rails this year, I don't know. And everybody thought Tony Romo was a great quarterback, but do they become a situation like that where they get a quarterback, but they can't figure it out? Like, I don't know.
Unless that's what I think is the biggest thing. I think what Bill Belichick was right. Bill Belichick was right on this one. When they gave up Jimmy G to the San Francisco 49ers, he is low-key, like, he's distraught. Like, he's throwing things. He's lost out of his mind. Because he understood. This is what Belichick understood. He understood that when you got rid of Jimmy G, you're getting rid of that contingency plan where they weren't going to have, like, an example like Favre and Rodgers. Okay? Or they weren't going to have Romo and Dak. That's what the Patriots don't have. Patriots have no contingency plan whatsoever, unless this guy Jared Stidham, who I'm sorry, I haven't seen enough of him play. The one time I saw him play, Jamal Adams returned it for a pick six. That's the one nice play of the entire season for the Jets. But that's besides the point. But you don't know what you're getting out of this guy. You really don't. You knew what Jimmy Garoppolo was. You knew what he was. You don't know what this guy is, Jared Stidham.
Well, I think that was where the tension started, where Belichick wanted to move on from Brady and keep Garoppolo, like you're saying, for the next 10 years and make him the savior.
Yeah, look how that's turned out for the Patriots. I mean, they got to the NFC Championship game, through 2-3 years after he was traded? So yeah, I think it's kind of worked out to the 49ers' benefit, and the Patriots lost in this case. So clearly all the Patriots fans, right, and there's a lot of them at Quinnipiac, right, who wanted, Jimmy Garoppolo to stay, Hayden, when you were a freshman.
Oh, yeah. They all wanted to stay, yeah.
I know. And then they got rid of him. So if you think about it that way, they've lost out, because clearly this guy's can do something, and it'll be interesting to see how many times it's going to take, for them to get through a couple, more of these veteran teams. Well, they got to the Super Bowl this year, but if they can crack Patty Mahomes, right? I mean, who knows, right? So you never know. I mean, they could have easily won that game. Their defense had a little bit of a slip, but that's football.
They could have won that game 100%. They were in position.
Yep. So, I mean, it'll be interesting. I mean, are the Patriots going to fall, or are they not? I don't know. Only time will tell.
All right, so now we're going to go into a little bit on some of the notable moves from free agency. We're going to talk a little bit about Brady to the Bucks. We have Bridgewater to the Panthers, Foles to the Bears, and we got Darius Slay to the Eagles. Those are 3 or 4 of the biggest moves out there. And also we're going to talk about the trade between the Cardinals and the Texans. So tell me a little bit more about what you think of some of these moves, Justin. Who do you think it benefited? Who do you think it hurt?
I definitely think the Cardinals are – obviously the Buccaneers with Brady, but I want to talk about the Cardinals. I mean, they got David Johnson's contract off the books, and they just got arguably the best receiver in the league in his prime to help a second-year quarterback Fitz is going to be gone soon, so he'll have Hopkins for the next 10 years or so. And I think that's going to help him so much. Like he's definitely going to take the leap, I think, in his second year having Hopkins. And I think it hurt. I mean, I don't know what the Texans were thinking. He was the one stable weapon that Deshaun Watson had. I'm just dumbfounded that they would make a move like that.
Oh, when that move was made, I could not believe that they made that move. They got. I understand if you're going to trade DeAndre Hopkins and get something out of it. I understand if you want to do like what the Vikings did and get 3 first-rounders out of it when they traded Stephon Diggs to the Bills. That made a lot of sense. Because the 3 first-rounders set them up fantastically. You get 3 first-rounders in this wide receiving draft class, you're going to be all set. Pair them with Adam Thielen. You got a tight end, Kyle Rudolph, Dalvin Cook. Like they're fun. The Minnesota Vikings made out beautifully from that trade.
Yeah, they could. Yeah, they benefited definitely. But like, how do you not get a first-round pick for Hopkins? That's inexcusable. Like Hayden Hurst won for a second-round pick.
I couldn't believe that. I don't know what Bill O'Brien. He must be on some type of drugs that we don't know about. But whatever he was doing with that move that he made with trading DeAndre Hopkins to the Cardinals, he got nothing in return. It was unbelievable to me. That was unfathomable how little he got back.
The Vikings got 3 first-round picks, and DeAndre Hopkins is better than Diggs, and you don't even get a first for Hopkins. And Hayden Hurst, who's like a decent tight end, goes for a second-round pick.
I know. No, I was shocked.
I've never been as confused since the Knicks traded Porzingis.
Neither have I. So, that was just a god-awful move, in my opinion, the Arizona Cardinals are looking at that with Kyler Murray, DeAndre Hopkins. Still got Larry Fitz, Christian Kirk. They've got a lot of weapons to work with there.
Kenyon Drake, too. He came on towards the end of last year.
Yep, that's going to be a team to watch in the FC West.
I think they could be a wild card team, but they're going to have to improve their defense if they really want to make the playoffs.
All right, so another thing we're going to talk about is Nick Foles to the Bears. I didn't love this move, to be honest with you. I have my resume.
He's better than Mitch Trubisky. No?
Is he so much better than Mitch Trubisky? Honestly, is he so much better?
He's definitely better than Mitch Trubisky.
I don't think he's so much better. This guy's not healthy.
He's not so much.
When has he been healthy for the full 16 games? When? He's had 1 season which he was fully healthy for the 16 games.
Nick Foles?
Yes.
At least you could gunsling. Like unlike Mitch Trubisky, you can't throw more than 10 yards.
And Nick Foles has proved he can play.
No, I'm not saying Nick Foles can't play. When Nick Foles' Super Bowl run, he was phenomenal.
Yeah.
With Alshon Jeffrey, you can't take anything away from that. He's a hero in Philadelphia. And when he had a full season with Chip Kelly, he was great. But take aside those 2 seasons, this guy had a sporadic career. This is not a guy you're banking on to be that. I don't think this is a guy that you banked on to be the quarterback moving forward. I don't.
Well, I don't think he's going to make – I mean, they're just trying to test Trubisky. They're trying to really push Trubisky to get another quarterback to compete with him.
I think – go ahead.
Yeah, I don't think it's a matter of that they're really think like their record's going to improve that much, but they're just trying to push Trubisky because obviously they don't trust him enough to keep him as a lone starter.
Yeah. I mean, they're trying to really push him to get to an elite level, right? I mean, they're probably trying to bring him in to try and ultimately try and have him learn or pick his brain or figure out something, figure out what makes, what made Nick Foles so good in those 4 games in the playoffs. Like what was his magic? What was the secret in the sauce, right? So like what can he pick up so he can ultimately lead the Bears? Maybe this is a 1 to 2 year, process where he can, try and learn a couple things, Maybe Mitch Trubisky becomes the quarterback that he was projected to be. But, I mean, only time will tell with that.
The only thing I'm just a little bit concerned that Foles is never healthy. That's the problem.
Well, but he'll be on the bench, right? So he'll be able to just talk him through things.
Well, so, I think they want to make it a competition, but what they're signaling kind of is that they want Foles to be the answer moving forward. That's
I think they're going to start Foles.
I think they're going to start too. But I don't think you can completely give up on Trubisky. I don't.
I don't know if they will. I think what they're trying to do maybe, and I know this is kind of a stretch comparison, but maybe they're trying to have a Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers thing, right? Where Rodgers rode the bench and Favre was still QB and he was still trying to learn the ropes. I don't know. Again, it's a stretch comparison, but maybe they're trying to, pull off the same ideology.
I mean, they wouldn't have had to had